Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here, and we're going to look at another interesting little device that was out a few years ago. I don't know if this is still made. I haven't seen this person um, advertising this in quite some time. And as I said, I usually pick these things up. This is a little, what can we call it? Psychic projector. The internal guts of this and everything else is your typical electronics. There's a little amplifier and a few things in there. And of course, this will be disassembled. People who want to see what's inside of this, and you can see that on Patreon for our supporters, where we take apart all these things and look at it. Here we're just going to kind of look at it and go over it. Here's the particular device. Not sure what this is called again. As I said, I can't find it, but this is just a little 8 hertz generator, basically. And what you're doing is sending a message to a particular person. The intent, you want to send energy to somebody. Let's say you want to send healing energy to a sick friend. And of course, let's turn this on. And then the lights come in the top. This is a typical chase light circuit, very cheap to make and very standard, but it does give it a little effects. So you press the intent, and of course then the button goes to a flashing like that, and you can let it go. Now you're going to send that. You're going to picture your friend getting well, and then of course you're going to hit the target button. So, and then this will send the energy out there and send that actually to that person. So then you see the flashing like this means the energy is being sent. It's a pretty simple design. I'm not, as I said, we will check it here. The problem is that if you don't amplify psychic energies properly, which are not electromagnetic, you don't get any good results. So let's check the actual pendulum on this. Does this have positive, negative, or neutral energy? Okay, well, this has neutral energy, which is common, by the way, and don't misunderstand neutral with negative. It's really not doing anything. So it's not putting out negative energy. It's not putting out positive energy. It's basically neutral because it's not even on. Let's turn it on and see if that changes things. Does this have positive or negative or neutral energies? And again, it's neutral, meaning that it's really not doing much of anything. Now, there was a thought form in here, but let's try this again and see if it has, if that energetic field changes. Now, neutral, positive, negative. Well, you got to remember that neutral is not meaning that it's bad. What it means is that nothing is happening of a positive or negative nature. It's just putting out. And there's still research to have to be done. Well, what does neutral really mean? Generally, neutral, while it is not negative, it certainly isn't what you're seeking. You're trying to seek energies that are being put out in a positive, energetic fashion, which would be spinning clockwise. You want to run away from anything that spins counterclockwise. And we found many instruments that do that, particularly orgonite instruments that are highly toxic. Then there are instruments that are basically neutral through most of their process. So let's, of course, put the intent. Let's put the intent here. And the intent is now we're sending healing energies. I've pictured a person I want to send healing energies to. And then we hit the target button, sending the energy to that particular person. So that energy should be in there now, which would be positive in nature. Is the energy in this unit now positive, negative, or neutral? Now we are picking up, you can see by the movement of the pendulum, we are picking up a pretty strong energy, but it's a neutral energy. I can't seem to get this to go positive or negative. And again, how do we judge that? Now, if you are sending a energy to someone, it should really be positive. I don't think anything's happening in this unit at all. It's just a chase light. They got a little solid state frequency, a unit in here. There isn't very much complicated technology going on here. So what we've got in this situation is something that probably isn't doing anything. Now, the guy who makes this, as far as I understand, is the guy who's hooked up with Ghost Adventures, with Bilbo Baggins, otherwise known as Zach Baggins. The film producer finding metaphysics to be his gold mine. And I did a whole long series on that. I think it's a couple of hours because, it's a show that's been on for 13 years. And what happened? How did they get into it? What goes on? It's the usual drama of people not getting along. And none of these people have any background in this, nor did they go and get background. Actors, when they take on roles or something, they're sent to schools. They may send you to military school. You'll train with police. You'll train with the military. You'll go to doctors, see how they operate if you do doctor stuff. But these people have no background in this whatsoever. Bilbo Baggins was nothing more than an out-of-work film student who was DJing in Vegas and met the other person that really got the show going. This person had connections with a relative who worked for the travel network and was able to get this concept out there. So, it's very, very interesting when we actually understand how things happen in life. But this guy did nothing but go to film school for, it was 8 months film school, somewhere in the Midwest, had his degree, and of course, what do you do with that? Well, it's nice to wipe your bottom with. So the whole idea is that's, of course, what happens with most of this stuff. And so from there, they got that break. Most of the show was done by his partner at the time. He basically was nothing more than the MC. He was the face of the show. I guess he spoke the best out of the crew and so forth. He didn't have any skills. This is Bilbo, Zach. Didn't have any editing skills, doesn't know anything about anything to do in that way. Other people did that. So, this is a very low-level person, and of course, he then talks about his metaphysical experiences, which I don't believe, and he also talks about the industry, what's going on, evil spirits, etc., and it's a whole bunch of things that he does wrong and never seeks help from it. He also goes out and grabs whomever to do cleansings and so forth that are just weak and don't know anything. Of course, he doesn't know anything either, so he goes to the blind leading the blind, as the old saying goes. So Ghost Adventures is kind of a joke. Now, what does that mean with this electronics? Well, he did find, I'm assuming that he contacted him, someone who claims to be an electronics engineer or whatever he is. I don't know if he's an engineer or a tech or whatever. That doesn't help you in this field. So techs need to work with people who understand the energies and what it's all about. To ask an electrical guy to figure out non-electrical entities and that there's somehow part of the electromagnetic spectrum is one of the biggest jokes that there's out there. And this is what happens all the time. You're going to go to scientists to explain things they've never been able to explain in the history of their screwed up, corrupt profession. You're going to go to electronic engineers who work with toasters and computers, and you're going to ask them to search for the ultimate energies that are not electromagnetic in nature. And of course, they're going to go back to the fact, it's only the electromagnetic. And of course, you get this from a lot of people. They are wrong, and that's the reason why things have not gotten anywhere, because the kind of people out there that even claim to be involved in all these things are greedy, rotten people that know nothing. So, and that's, of course, they push their garbage and make lots of money while really hurting the entire field and certainly not discovering anything. People have been in this business of subtle energy to large years. People like to give Hieronymus a lot of credit. He was an engineer. He worked for a company. And what did he do? He lived to be 90, yet he did nothing. And his technologies have continued to go over 100 years of Hieronymus technologies. And what do we have? His alloptic energy is interesting, but he has that wrong as well. You've got the computerized junk for thousands and thousands of dollars, $5,000, $6,000. That does absolutely nothing. And lots of people buy into that crap. And of course, we've showed you what's inside of all these units, particularly those who on Patreon who want to see that. I mean, none of this stuff is free, people. If you want to see the internal guts of these things, you have to pay for that privilege and support the organization. To bring that up, you should like and, of course, subscribe here so that we can get these out to more people so that people can see these. But this kind of thing is always suppressed and always will be. And of course, the people within the industries are their own worst enemies. But this guy doesn't know anything. I watched his electrical stuff on Ghost Adventures when I checked that out for a while. He has no idea what he's doing. And again, by using his different technologies, has no idea how to pick up non-electromagnetic energies. So to think that you're going to broadcast at a strong level using a solid state device like this is just doesn't work. If you're not using particular type of subatomically changed electronics, and you're not using electronics that can handle things, similar to, of course, the tube amplification that we use with the subtle energies that we feed into it and the plates that are at the bottom, all very critical. You just can't use any tube amplifier or even a similar model and get results with it. If you haven't changed the molecular structure of it at subatomic levels by using informational energetic fields, you will not have much success. The success that people get is in spite of generally the instruments they have. It's not because of it. The bottom line is you get results because you're projecting energy, you're focusing energy, and that's how most of the process works. But that is the kindergarten way of looking at it. Where the process really works is through instrument amplification, which you can't do to a high level, and you can't sustain it either. So the human machine certainly is fascinating, powerful, and amazing, but it's also weak, lazy, and ineffective, and cannot sustain energy for long periods of time. So some people have high energy levels, some people have low, and while these can be developed up to a basic common energy field, the bottom line is there's very little you can do. And the effects that most people get are this shocking and still really kind of mystical placebo effect. People take a pill and they say, I'm getting better, and they get better. Well, why does that work with everybody? You know, I hear this and I don't really believe it that much. I do believe it to a degree, but I find that all the placebo effects wear off within 3 to 8 weeks. Once you've been doing something and you're still not feeling better after 8 weeks, you kind of wake up and say, well, it ain't the junk they gave me. So the whole idea is I don't believe that, even though the medical industry, of course, wants to tell you how successful it is because they don't have anything else. Well, thinking good thoughts and you'll be fine. So the whole idea is we have to fully understand that. So when we get into these things, the validity of this, and as I said, Patreon members will be able to see this taken apart. But I've already looked inside of here. You can see this is a fairly well-built unit. It's a typical plastic case you get anywhere. I'm not sure why there is this here. I don't know if they're, looks like they're trying to, I don't know if they were gluing the screws in here so you can't open it up. Not really sure what they were doing there. This, they removed what potentially is a jack. And it's just solid. Of course, it's just solid state electronics. And what could it be? I mean, this guy doesn't know his up from his down. So you're just putting in here a little frequency, which is your typical 7.8 Earth resonance. And of course, there is a little actually solid state amplifier in here. And that's it. So it's a cool little device. I think it was only $120 or $30. But, you know, that's just focusing devices. But, you know, we need tools. But You want good focusing devices that really project and amplify. Well, of course, that's what radionic tech has with our mech techs, our manifesting energy cells, our simple radionic machines. As you can see one right over here. These are great symbolic machines. You feed them into amplifiers and transmitters, and you get fantastic results at a very low price. Unlike other technologies that don't have broadcasting, they don't have amplification. They're really a bunch of nothingness and strictly work on that placebo psychic projection. But we have to go past that. We've been doing that for decades, for millenniums. We need to move on to really the ultimate. And you have to understand the technology to do that. If you get stuck in the electromagnetic, you're going to get nowhere. We've been in the electromagnetic, and it doesn't work to a large degree. So it's the projection, and we all know that, quote, psychic psi energy is not electromagnetic whatsoever. There's no electromagnetic coming from psi energy. You can put meters everywhere. You can shield patients or people in general that you're sending messages to. The messages get through anyway. So there's no electromagnetics to it whatsoever. It's 100% proven, yet we want to get stuck in it because scientists, guys from icky IT, MIT and Caltech, because we've solved all our problems because of these guys. We don't have any problems. We don't have any ecological problems. We don't have any energy problems. We're using pure fuels. Thank you, Caltech. It's so brilliant. We have all of that. Everybody lives to be 150 years old. Thank you, Caltech. MIT, Morons Institute of Technology. We are the best morons in the world. We says it right here on a piece of paper. My name, Moron. Moron Institute of Technology. So what have they done? And anything they come up with, of course, will cost, as is the ignorant way of doing things. Well, we can do this with a cost. That's their cop-out as well. I don't think it works anyway. But it cost $10 million to make one of these machines. So if I was you, I would lease it, because who's got $10 million in their pocket? So the whole idea is this is the kind of garbage you run into from everybody, and we just don't have anything viable out there. And the alternative people tend to be greedy, misinformed stooges. So what do we go by? Well, what works, what doesn't work is a mystery of all mysteries, and we have to go through the process and find out what works. And this has to be done in a very particular way, so that we can find out what is real out there and what is not in times of extreme stress and problems. Well, we need solutions, people. And it doesn't matter, though, because if it doesn't fit into the pocket of those in command, those running the world, and they're their little cockhold toys they work with, like presidents and politicians and the military and everything. They all are nothing more than Satan's warriors. And they'll make sure they'll kill you for profit, because after all, they got to take care of their family, but they're more than happy to murder yours. So, such is life out there, but we all have to. But this kind of goofy technology, again, if you use something like this, you concentrate on your target. Oh, look at here. Oh, go. It's blinky lights. But these kind of things do help your brain see something and say, oh, something's happening. So the whole idea is that does help trigger higher senses in terms of projecting out there. So if you use something like this, you concentrate on a particular person, you put your intent in, you press the button, you put your intent in, healing, you press the target, you keep your person's particular whom they are, state their name, etc. And then you trigger this, you're sending them energy. That's a psychic projection right there. If you want to go to a little higher level, you can actually put their picture here. Of course, you're using Polaroids. Of course, you're not using Polaroids, or you're using an inferior one out there, because you refuse to get the equipment that works, and then you want to support other goofballs. You're hurting yourself when you're not using the proven, known technologies. But people have no problems buying garbage from other people for $5,000 called garbage machines that don't have anything in them. Well, I got 3 little scalar antennas that don't hook up to nothing. So the whole idea is this is the kind of garbage you run into. But, the point is you as the, quote, consumer out there, let's take a little closer look at. Ooh, for experimental use only. Oh, yeah, well, that's a typical engineer. He's a coward. What does he think you're going to use this for? So Is he afraid because it's a piece of crap that he says it does something? So there's your intent button, and there's your target button. Okay, and you just press these. Here's your on and off. And of course, when you turn it on, the chase light comes on. It works by, and of course, as I said, the inside of this can be seen by, and the battery cabinet here is made pretty poorly. I don't know what, this case isn't a very good one. Yeah, so it runs on 3 AAA batteries that fit in here. I mean, this case thing here is not too good. Hard to open, but I mean, it's an adequate. It's a nice little case. Your typical little case. You buy these for $3 or $4. As I said, I think he tried to glue the screws down. I'm not sure why it has this sloppy thing on the side of it. That's the bottom. It's got on the sloppy side again. It looks like he's trying to stop people from opening it. The basic image and this stuff printed here, it looks pretty good. And that's your unit. Now, of course, we have very advanced units like this called our side generator. And these are, of course, heads and tails again. So we don't use this kind of primitive Hertzian energies alone. We use a special type of energy that we work with. And, of course, our units are changed at the molecular level, the molecular metal level, so that they can take in this special type of non-electromagnetic energy out there. So these are all the things you only get from Radionic Tech, because we're the only people out there that have any advanced understanding, have done any research. Everybody else is working with the same 120-year-old technology, which is no longer valid. And I'm afraid that all the pioneers in all these fields did kind of mediocre work in general, unfortunately, and certainly didn't leave all that much. And whoever they leave stuff to generally seem to be people that have no credibility and don't follow on very well, as what's happened with Hieronymus and everybody else. So it's sad, but that's the way of the world. But then again, we're always searching. Is there something out there? But of course, I've stopped searching because there's nothing out there of value unless Radionic Tech makes it, because you're talking about apples and oranges. These people are using electromagnetic fields. Why? What is an electromagnetic field going to do? If you're going to mess with some frequency fields, well, you want to make sure that, you're using, here's a Schumann resonance machine. And of course, we're generating the frequency through a tube here, which gives you beautiful, almost identical frequencies to the Earth itself, in a very resonant, great energy. So you just can't beat. But it's, you got to know what you're talking about, and you got to use quality stuff. And it's amazing that somebody in the world actually manufactures that. Of course, we again use this in particular ways with our special energy discs, etc., which our whole new system is converting over to energy discs, which are able to be properly done out there. So, we have to fully understand that and how it works and what the science of all this. And it's all coming out soon. It's a momentous job. We're moving as fast as we can to get all these things out to the public and set up complete systems of everything, so you basically understand what's really happening, and then can get the technology to make it work for you. But remember, advanced technology is not a click-on machine. That's a toaster. Advanced technologies all deal with the human consciousness, so you have to bring yourself up to a certain level if you want to get those amazing results, which everybody wants. So you have to train yourself, do all those things. Of course, nobody wants to do that. You just want to get the tool and use it. And of course, it does work. But higher level workings are those people who can access the energy, project it to their target, and then it manifests quickly, fastly, and correctly. So all of this is not something that you are normally able to do in your life, just like you're normally not able to do much of anything else. You want to be good at golf? Well, you better be out there every weekend hitting those balls. During the week, you better be hitting buckets of balls. For you golfers out there will know that. So if you're not practicing all the time, building your skills, you ain't very good at it. Same thing with tennis or whatever game you play. Basketball, do you just go down there and play with your friends once a week? Well, I can tell you right now, you ain't very good. So practice honing your skills, and it's no difference whether it's a sport, whether it's a craft, or whether it is involved in the subtle energy physics world that is really out there. So I hope everyone enjoys it. This is another fun little tool. I certainly wouldn't buy one of these. It's not really worth it. It's just really, I consider this to be nothing more than a little psychic crutch and toy. Until next time.